Welcome to Grounds for Sculpture and our new tent. We're putting it to use with our second Artist in Action. Our first was last month with Megan Newhays online on Zoom, and we were joking today that today you can put your comments in the chat. But we'll have questions the old-fashioned way at the end. I'd like to thank you for supporting this program. It's new, and we created it in response to the Artist in Action traditionally has been open studios in the MEB building, which will continue next spring. But we wanted to expand this program to showcase artists who work in the MEB studios, the Atelier, local artists, and regional artists in New Jersey. So each one will take a slightly different form. Could be a demo, a workshop, could be at another space. We're kind of going month to month and seeing how's it going. So thank you for supporting. We really look forward to continuing this through, the first series is through June of 2022. And we'll be posting the rest of the artists soon online. I'd also like to thank the Atelier with Claire Brown and Lynn DiClemente for their support in this program. And I'd like to introduce Anya Mickey, who is curating the series, working with the artists on the format, interviewing them, doing all the background information to create this program. She's done a tremendous job in creating it, so I'd like to thank her, and she's going to take it away from here.
Thank you, Julio. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. I know it is extremely humid right now. I know we're all a little bit warm, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time to join us today. This is our first in-person Artist in Action, and yeah, I'm so excited to be here. We have a really interesting conversation set up today. We're going to be getting into the art world. We're going to be getting into expectations, identity, and race within art. And yeah, I'm here to introduce Autin Dean Wright, who is going to be answering some questions. We're going to get into a conversation, and much like Julio mentioned, we'll be taking your questions at the end. Just a note, this is going to be recorded, so if you guys want to silence your cell phones or maybe put them on mute, that would be fantastic. So I'm just going to get started and dive right in by reading some of Autin's bio, and then we're going to get into our conversation. Autin Dean Wright was born and raised on the Caribbean island of Jamaica. A graduate of the Edna Manley School of Visual Art in Kingston, he was honored with a Certificate of Merit as well as a gold, a silver, and 2 bronze medals at Jamaica's annual Festival of Fine Arts exhibition. His work was included in the National Fine Arts Exhibition in Jamaica, and he was a recipient of the Simón Bolivar Sculpture Competition Award hosted by the Venuzeula Embassy in Jamaica. Wright moved to the United States in 1987 after graduating from the Connecticut School of Art in Greenwich. He became the technical supervisor for paint and patina at the Johnson Atelier Institute of Sculpture in Mercerville, New Jersey. Autin has 6 sculptures installed here at Grounds for Sculpture, and we also have some of his work right on over here as well for you guys to look at and that we'll be referencing throughout this conversation. So thank you so much for joining me here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My first question, Autin, is going to be kind of just an open-ended question. Can you give us a little bit of a intro into your background, your early life? I know we just mentioned in your bio that you were from Jamaica. So can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so it was Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica. Went to school all the way up to art school, and so that's that's pretty much it right there. Jamaica, Kingston, Jamaica, and I warm, tropical climates. Beautiful. Anyway.
we're entering into the fact that he's perfectly fine in this weather, and he thinks it's hilarious that I'm like sweating profusely. That's perfectly fine. Okay, so within you mentioned that you went to art school. When was it that you realized this is something that I love to do? How did you learn that art was something you were interested in?
I was always drawing, and my mom She was, I guess, my biggest fan because she collected all my drawings when I was a kid, not knowing any of them. So she revealed them to me long afterwards. And I was surprised at how they were pretty good, actually. I mean, but and then I have friends and classmates and I was always called on to do anything art related, whether to make a poster or to help someone in their art assignment or anything relating to art. It was always the person to call on, and that kind of then my art teachers, of course, they were also encouraging me to pursue it full time. So yeah, so.
And so this was drawing or painting. What was the medium that you first started out in?
Yeah, that was drawing, painting. That's pretty much all we had then. It was relatively cheap and easily accessible. So that's pretty much, yeah.
Interesting. Do you remember any of what those drawings were of?
They're mostly still lifes, a few figurative, but mostly still life and landscape.
Gotcha.
A couple of landscape, yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And what age did you kind of start making those?
I would say maybe starting maybe 12, 13, yeah. So I get in, where based, it was mostly art class in school.
Okay.
Yeah, and the teacher setting up these still lifes. We did a few prints, more craft, but I was leaning more towards the drawing. And I was more good at still life, not as good as imaginary drawing as I would like to do. Okay. But still life I was pretty good at, yeah.
Wow, okay. I'd love to see some of those if you ever can drag them out sometime. You mentioned that you were making prints. When was your interest in 2D work? Where did that start? In the 3D work come into play?
Yeah, so in art school, when I went to art school, introduced for the first time basic design and 3D basic design. And, you have to, we have organic, geometrical shapes, and all that, a little bit of figurative, but it was basic design. And I was attracted to the organic form. And the thing that apart from just doing the artwork itself, one of the things that really got me was the technicality of it. Cutting out, shaping, materials, different materials, a lot of plaster, wires, so and the technicality of it that got my attention, and it was physical too. I mean, physical, able to touch and to move stuff around and to lift, So, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So how? Okay, so just to recap on your life, you find this affinity for art. We go to school in Jamaica for art. For college, and then you're spit out of college, and somehow you wind up in Hamilton. How did you come into contact with the atelier? How did you learn of the atelier?
Yeah, the atelier, I knew about the atelier when I was, actually in art school in Jamaica. It's across from the art school, we had a U.S. Embassy, and U.S. Embassy, there was there was a library that was accessible to the public. And on visiting the library, you're pretty much attracted to anything that was art related, and book, magazine. And on the shelf was Sculpture magazine, and there was a ad for the apprenticeship program. And I did apply. They sent me all the information and everything. I didn't really reply back. I just, I had no idea I was gonna Jamaica, I just did it for the fun of it, I guess. not knowing I would ever be here. So I knew about Johnson Atelier way back then. And then my mom came here. She was the first, she came here first. My father came with her, and with my younger sibling. The older ones, because we were much older, took a longer time. I was the last one to I didn't, be honest with you, I didn't want to come. I'm serious, I didn't want to come. I waited on the last day where if I didn't do it that day, my mom would have to refile everything all over again, which involved, in money, which, I'm sure she didn't have a lot of that. So I waited the last day, and finally I came here. I said, you know what? I'm just going to spend just 2 years. 2 years, I'm just going to check it out, maybe get connected to a gallery or a museum, something like that. And then I'll go back home. And then, of course, I don't know, afterwards. I've been here, what now? I came here, I came in 87, and now it's what, 2021. Yeah, so, and then coming to the state, I came in Connecticut, which is Hartford, Connecticut. That's where my parents were. And then from Hartford, Connecticut, I moved to Stamford, Connecticut. I worked at a hotel there, and I went to school to do graphic design in the evenings. And after I finished school there in Connecticut, of course, I was in the library, attracted to magazines, Sculpture magazine, and there on the shelf, Sculpture magazine, an ad for apprenticeship program to the Seward Johnson Atelier. And I apply again for the second time. And they said, oh yeah, come on down. On my way here, they called me and they said, unfortunately, the economy is taking a downturn. So unfortunately, we're not accepting apprenticeship, we're not accepting anybody, any new apprentice at this time. So I got stuck in New York. So I was in New York deciding, what am I going to do in New York? There was a center, and they were offering classes to be an emergency medical technician. I went there, I filled out the form, I did the tests. I was waiting, said, what happened? I haven't heard from these guys, it's been so long. So I said, let me take a walk down and see what happened. And they said, yeah, we've been calling you, we've been calling the house. They said, no one live here by that name. What happened is that in Jamaica, my friends and family know me as Dean. That's my name, Dean. So if anybody call me Dean, that's me. But it's normally my friends and family. And so they keep saying that, because it's my friend who I was hanging out with. They said, nobody live here by that name. I said, oh my God, man, what am I going to do now? And, it's been almost like a year. And then they call again. They said, well, they called me, so are you still interested in coming to the Seward Johnson Atelier as an apprentice? I said, yeah, man, sure. And I came here, again, 2 years program. I was going to be here for 2 years, 2 years program. But it was challenging because you get a stipend, but the stipend wasn't enough. And at one time I was getting ready to quit because, Jim Ulrey, the director at the time for the program, I came to him and said, listen, man, I can't do this. I'm hungry. And I need food to eat. But anyway, he said, I'm working on my house. You want to come and help him renovate? I said, sure, I'll do that. And that helps to provide money for me to buy butter to butter the bread. But, so now I had bread and butter. And then, but then what happened, I said to myself, you know what, the first position open up as full-time staff, I'm going to take it. The first position, it doesn't matter what department, the first position. And what happened is that paint and patina position opened up in paint, patina, and then I applied for it, and I got it. And I'm here. What's
that was the nail in the coffin.
I'm still here. But anyway,
Wow.
and this is I watched. You know, I came here in 93, and I always think that the sculpture park was made for me. I don't know why I think that way, but
Well,
I'm serious though. I when I came here and I walked through that gate and I said, man, I saw my pieces on the ground, not knowing anybody or anything. And a couple years after that, a few of my pieces were on the ground. But anyway, sorry about that. I was
no, I think it's so interesting that the universe is moving you from library to library, making an important, distinction of things you should be doing. Wow, that's fascinating. It's a wonderful thing when you get to interview someone who's a gifted storyteller. You don't have to do very much work. I want to ask. This is an idea that I think a lot of people who are not professional artists have a hard time accepting. But being a professional artist is a lot like being a professional actor. You get tossed around, you get more rejection than you do success, and there is an enormous amount of resilience and toughness that a person needs to acquire to really pursue being a professional artist. And have you always had those characteristics, or do you think that it was something that you learned over time?
I very rarely focus on that, because I think what happened is if you have a drive or something inside of you and something that you really want to do, I don't think it matters. Sometimes the environment. I always say that the environment doesn't necessarily have to shape you. You can shape the environment. So you don't have to you don't have to. So you still keep that vision of and that, because it doesn't matter where you're coming from. You can still, based on that, it will take you to where you want to be. If I didn't have that, then I would not have, I wouldn't be looking at that sculpture magazine, because I wanted. It's all about sculpting. And I was attracted to that sculpture magazine, and then I saw that there's a place in Trenton, New Jersey, or Hamilton, New Jersey, a sculpture park where I can continue to pursue what I want to do. And so I was always attracted to anything that related to that. And if you keep that inside of you, I think somehow you become this one-track person, like one-track mind, and then things just gravitate towards you. Things that you want to do, just kind of gravitate to want to do. I work in different materials. I know we're gonna, but one of the things that happened is that when I first started working in wood, I didn't have any wood. I didn't have any wood at all. I was like, I had to go. I said, man, I have to go buy wood. But when I did my first set of wood pieces, all of a sudden people like, man, I have this tree in my backyard, I have this tree in my front, man, I have wood here. I was getting wood all the time. And it's like, see what happened? Things just attracted to you. And the same thing now with stone. I've been getting material like that, because of, and that's what I'm trying to say. You somehow what's in your mind, and if you keep that in your mind, things just maybe I should be thinking about $1 million right now. Anyway.
Well, it's actually, that was a great segue. Let's get into your work a little bit. You do have pieces that are on the grounds, but we pulled some of these pieces out of the studio. do you want to just give us a little bit of an explanation, give us maybe the title, the medium of each piece, kind of briefly share what these pieces are over here?
Yeah, the far left, that's my left. That's bronze. That was one of my first pieces I cast at the Stuart Johnson Atelier. Back then we had access to the foundry, and that's, coming from Jamaica, never cast bronze before, nothing about metal. It was always wood. I did a few assemblage in metal, just welding as found object. But as far as the casting process, this is one of the things I learned at the Stuart Johnson at the atelier. And so this is one of my first pieces. It's the lost wax process, and so it's very technical. You model the piece in clay, which that's what I did. I modeled in clay, cast in plaster, and then finish it up even more before I make a rubber mold, and then wax, cast in wax, and then do a ceramic shell around the wax, burn the wax out, pour the bronze where we had the wax, and then remove the ceramic shell, then do some welding, and, but it's a little bit more to that, but it's the lost wax process. And so I learned a lot where that is concerned, the technical part of it. And then for me, it was all about the pure form. And I decided to just leave it in just raw bronze, and then be honest with you, I was very disappointed in bronze. I thought it was just going to be this magical, beautiful, great thing that everybody's so excited about. But I was very disappointed. I was like my expectation, it just went down. And then after I did a patina, then the patina kind of bring it back to, I kind of feel good about it. And that was my specialty. I do a lot of patina, and at the Stuart Johnson Atelier. So I was able to do that on my own piece. It's kind of weird. You do patina, but you didn't want to do it on your own work. But finally I did, and I was very happy with it. And then I decided to go back into wood. I did a few wood after that. So I decided, I did wood in Jamaica. Let me just try to do some more wood pieces here. Actually, the title of the piece over there is in the bronze. It's called Caribbean Form. It for me, it was based on in the waves and how and it was supposed to be like a it doesn't look like a coconut tree, but it's more like a. Well, I take it's as an artist you see stuff, but then when you make it, it's not necessarily. You still have to think about the form and how things relate to each other. But your idea does take it to starting, and then the piece take it to where it should be. But yes, and then so that's what that is. The wood form is very geometrical, but at the same organic. And so compared to what I would normally do in Jamaica, I decided to make it a little bit more geometric and allow some of the texture to come through. Then to my far right, that's what I'm working, cement. I did some cement pieces. This was more experimental with cement, and I did a few pieces in concrete as a concrete finish. And now what I'm working on now is stone, and that's marble. I'm working in marble, and I decided to. This is my first time making it that smooth, and of course a little bit more organic with a little more texture on the surface. My piece is supposed to be a little bit of simplicity or minimalist kind of feel to it with a strong personality, but that's pretty much where I'm at right now is carving stone.
Beautiful. Are you still looking for stone? If anyone has any, are you not open to donations?
I have a supply right now. I have enough
Okay.
to keep me busy for another couple of years, I think.
Please keep all your marble at home because we don't need it yet. Can you? So you went into the process a little bit, specifically with that first piece that you were discussing. How do you conceptualize your pieces? I know that when we first sat down, there is coffee and there's like little books involved. Can you give me a brief little explanation of that?
Yeah, nothing. Anybody tells you that you sit under a tree and an idea comes to your head. I mean, that might happen, but not all the time for me. What I do a lot of sketches, and you go to an institution. That's pretty much one of the basic stuff that they teach you, is to do a lot of, you do a lot of sketches, and then, your sketches kind of speak to you also, just like your artwork. You see something, and your sketches is just, it's like developing a language. So you're developing this language, and what happened is that you're communicating with these forms, and although you might not have a definite idea yet, but you're developing the vocabulary, you're developing the forms, and you keep working it. And then as time goes on, sometimes you go back and you start to put stuff together, and then that form develop over a period of time. And sometimes, to be honest with you, you might not see it right away, but after revisiting your sketchbook, then you might start to see it for the first time. And then what happened, I do sketches in clay, maybe clay, or sometimes I go directly in the medium, whether it's wood or marble. And even then, it doesn't mean I stick to the original drawing. It still changes as it evolves. So.
Would you say you've mentioned your gaining the title that you currently have at the atelier and learning about paints and patinas and finishing? Many artists, when you are exposed to something every single day, it accidentally works its way into your expression or into your work. Would you say that working at the atelier has informed, has it changed, and how has it changed your work?
Yeah, I'm very lucky, actually. This is, I must give credit to Seward and his vision for this place. Seward Johnson, I was lucky to work directly with him, and then a lot of artists came through the atelier, and what happened? We have, of course, the bronze casting, and then the patina, and there's a piece that I painted also. So we use an industrial paint or automotive paint, and sometimes there's one or two pieces that I actually paint my piece with. So there's a lot of technical stuff that you learn, and you can't help it but apply. It just become part of your work. And working with artists, a few artists I work with, like. Let me tell you, I was going to say Kiki Smith, but she's just an amazing person. And then Michelle Oakler Donor and George Siegel, they help you to see also, because you work with them, you try to get into their mind. Not you try to get in their mind, you have a relationship with them, and by working with them, you get a feel for what they want, and they explain to you. And it's the same as doing sketches. So if you put on a line and you put a couple of lines down, they can tell you if that line is in the right spot or if you need to move it right or you need to move it left. And what that does, it helps you as an artist too, because now you start to see texture and form and movement through another artist's eyes. And it also helps to build yours. So that was helpful. And you only get better. You get better as you work with these guys, even though they're all different.
So can you? We briefly kind of went into going to some more formal school in Jamaica, coming to the United States, going to school for a different practice in design, and then pushing yourself and kind of actualizing the rest of your career here in the United States. Can you talk about the transition, both culturally and from, I guess, an acceptance perspective of transitioning your career from where you were raised to the United States?
Yeah. Be honest with you, if anybody here from the island, it's a cultural shock. Actually, it's different. I had no idea. Be honest with you, the only thing you know about America is through the media, and television, magazine, and you watch Dallas, or you watch Bonanza, or you watch and everything is nice and suburbial with nice mom, nice dad, and nice kids, well behaved, and so you see America through the eyes of, and then when you finally come here, it's a cultural shock. It's and your expectation, you still have that expectation. You kind of hold on to it for a long time before finally you kind of just let it go. But it's one of the things that it's the fact that in Jamaica I was considered, I look at myself just as an ordinary artist. I'm just an artist. Here, then you realize that you're a black artist. Not, you're a black artist. So now you have to, do I call myself a black artist, or do I call myself, I always think that I'm just an artist. And so, that kind of, you start to, you try to figure out where should you be? Should I be in this show, or, should I be, so am I just a part, so these are things that you struggle with, and even now you still kind of struggle. But what happening now is because, especially, I remember when I was at the Sewer John's atelier and I was doing my work, I remember a colleague came to me and said, "Why are you not making Jamaican art?" And I was like, I looked at him, I was like, what are you talking about? I said, "Why are you not making Jamaican art?" And so so I'm thinking I couldn't. So I'm not sure what. So I'm thinking that the imagery, that's what he was thinking of. Maybe I should be doing a figurative with a black person or something like that. That's the only thing I can think of. A woman with a basket on her head or something like that. That's what I'm thinking that he's thinking, because in Jamaica I was just accepted as an artist, and I was doing what I'm doing now. It's minimalist, kind of abstract, organic forms. And so, I would spend like months over my work, and somebody would come up to me and say, "Is that your work?" I mean, these guys pass me every single time, and they say, "Is that your work?" And I say, yeah, isn't it obvious? Why would I be working for somebody else? It's like, So, and it took me a while to realize what was happening, And then what I realized is that if you're black, then you're put in a box, and then you're put in this box, and that's where and it either should be like a black imagery, or a black story, or and then what happened is that if you do anything outside of that, then you're not doing your art. It's not your art. And so what so now as time goes on, which is a good thing, I realize now that galleries, institutions are slowly accepting the movement where blacks do abstract work, they do abstract expressionist work, they do installation, and not that they're doing it now. They've been doing it since the 19s, during the 1920s, So they've been doing it a while. But for now, it's just that the galleries and the museum and the institutions are now catching up. And now what they're doing, they're going back to rewrite history and to make sure these body of work are included in their collection. But I get to realize that even like long afterwards.
Within receiving that kind of feedback, have you ever had a inclination to change your work, or no?
I remember I went to a tourist area, and I think I was traveling to the DR, Dominican Republic, and and they were selling art on the street, like more like a, and I noticed the style was the same. It was just, everybody was doing the same style. And I said, what happened? How comes everybody, you can't tell who, they're all doing the same style, the same figure, the same tree, the same house. And what I found out is that at one time we were all different. And then what happened that somebody came and bought this one person work, and they pretty much bought his entire work that he had been working on. And they saw that. And the next day, everybody tried to reproduce what he was doing. So, with that sense, it's hard for me to change, whether it's based on, what's popular at the time or what's expected of me. I mean, if it's going to make me, I don't think, because I'm already, I know exactly where I'm at, what I want to do, and I don't see myself changing. The only thing that you change is, as an artist, you will learn from other artists. Other artists will influence you. And especially the artists that pretty much pursuing or doing the same thing, like similar to what you're doing, you can learn from other artists. Nothing is wrong in copying genius, it's like, so you can learn from other artists. But the fact is that you already know exactly where you want to go, what you want to do, and it's just that you're attracted to stuff that might help you to get to where you want to do, where you want to go. So yeah.
Would you say, you mentioned in the conversation about identity and the conversation about assumption and categorizing creatives, you said you see yourself as an artist, or that's how you saw yourself. Do you see yourself as a Jamaican artist? Do you see yourself as a black artist? Do you see yourself as just a immigrant artist, or a hybrid of that? Where do you place yourself now?
I know, right? Yeah, it's a tough question, because of course, Black History Month. That's when normally you get a show during Black History Month, and how can you? In a way, it is true. You still want to put your work out there. You still want to put yourself out there. That's the only month of the year that you get the opportunity to show your work. But it's not like you want to be categorized as just a black artist. But at the same time, you want to expose yourself, and so that people can realize that you're not in this box. That we have a table, and around that table there are there's a huge diverse of style. You have, everybody, and so my thing is that the more I put myself out there, the more I expose myself as a black person, the more people are realizing that there's a lot of diversity in black art also. So we're just not in this one block. Yeah.
So this is a huge question, but I'm gonna ask you anyway. So how in talking about these systemic issues within the culture of the arts within institutions and organizations. How is it that these big organizations, curators, institutions, how is it that we can improve this issue? What steps do you think that we can be taking to remove bias, to remove expectation, to make that table bigger?
I think imagery is important because if it wasn't because social media, we wouldn't be exposed to systemic racism like the way we are right now. And social media force us to see ourselves for who we are. And I think if imagery, as I said, when the media, the media is very strong. It's a very strong, powerful tool, and it just with the media, you already have an idea of what you think things are, and then we can utilize the media to expose more African American Black artists and their style. I think that might be the way to go about it. Mm-hmm. I think having even this talk like this too is important. Mm-hmm. The grounds for sculpture as a institution where people people are exposed to art. I think it's important. I remember, the guy who is in charge of cutting the grass. I remember he had no idea. He eventually found out that I'm Autin. Like, he saw my piece, he liked my piece, but then he was able to put a face to it. And he was very, he was very excited, very, he was overwhelmed. He was like, "Oh my God, I had no idea that was you." And I think just like how I was, misled or by the media, I think we can use the media to correct the way we see art by African Americans or Blacks.
Yeah. It's such a great point too, especially within the accessibility of art, that now it's almost the judgment of what is good and what is of a specific group and, what is something of quality or speaks to a differing experience is decided by a mass of people who are like that, right, as opposed to 30 people who have the master's degree. Right. It's a really good point. Surrounding this conversation of expectation, of preferences, and of assumptions and biases, how do you, within your own work, stay true to who you are? And do you have any advice for an artist who is grappling with these kinds of issues of identity and expectation?
Yeah, it can be challenging. I remember when I first sold one of my pieces. And that can affect you too. All of a sudden, you'll see your work. You put a different value. You put monetary value on your work, and it kind of mess with your head because now you see this looks like $100, that looks like $500, that looks like $300, and that can mess with your head. And not only that, too, as I said, your peer group. If you look across on someone else's work, that can, if somebody came and somehow that person is selling like crazy, but in reality, nobody wants another Jeff Koons. You don't have to be another Siegel. You don't have to be another Kiki Smith. You don't have to, so you just have to be, try to be different and be true to yourself. And a lot of these African American artists that was abstract expressionists, they didn't stop. They were doing installation. They didn't stop. They didn't get any kind of. I'm sure they die with almost nothing. But now their work is on demand, and they're getting the recognition that they truly deserve right now. but we don't necessarily have to. Right now we don't. I don't want to be starving. To be honest with you, I don't want to. I still want to be able to survive and live. But it's still not going to change who I am. It is who I am. I can't say my work is great or not great or bad or I'm leaving that for the art critique, and I'm not saying I have a place in history because I'm not an art historian. I'm leaving that to the art historian. There's art curators who, what you do, everything sometimes stop with an art curator. They're the one who choose what should be on the shelf and what shouldn't be. But I think if we have diversity in the selective people who are help to select some of these artwork, that can also help to bring diversity within the exposure that these artists need.
I didn't plan to ask you about this, but I want to ask you. In our last conversation, I might misquote you here too. You were talking about the inevitable search that you are on for like the perfect form. Can you share that topic briefly with everybody?
Yeah, So that, so you said, why do I keep sketching? Okay, so I keep sketching. I'm always sketching. And he said, well, why you keep sketching? I mean, you just keep, I keep sketching. It's like I have books, sketchbooks. There's books and sketches and sketches and sketches. But what it is, I don't know. It's like you have something in your head, and it's not like it's this. What you have in your head is not like it's still like moving. It's not. It's there, and it's the perfect, the form. That form, it's there. It's there in your head. It's there, but you just can't. It's just elusive. You can't. So I'm sketching. I keep making artwork, but it's like I'm not getting it. And for some reason that's what kind of that's what actually helped me to motivate me and to keep because there's this one form. I think there's this one form. I think that's going to be the form of all forms. Anybody here are writers? I'm not good at writing, but you always want to have that one word or that one sentence. If you're a mathematician, you're looking for that one formula, for all formulas, and so I think as a sculpture, with forms, and I'm still looking for that one form that sums up all the forms. So hopefully that one form. And maybe I might just stop working after that.
I love that idea. I'm so excited for you, and I can't wait till when you make that form, and I'll see the form and I'll go, that's the form, and we'll all go, that is the form, and then we'll throw you like a retirement party or something lavish like that. So other than finding the form, where can we find you next? What are you working on? I'm working on stone.
So I'm losing control right now. I'm losing control, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, as I said, I used to draw and then take everything from my drawing, but I'm working on this one piece, and I made the wrong blow. I'm working on stone, made the wrong. I did a blow, and it was shattered into three sections. Several pieces, and now I'm just like winging it. I'm just like, wow, this is, and to be honest with you, it's fun. I mean, it's like, oh my God, this is great, man. So I'm just carving, I'm just carving right now, and not knowing what's going to be coming out of it. Maybe that is the perfect form, but and maybe that's the direction I'm going to take. So that's another thing. It doesn't mean I'm going to continue working in stone or marble, or my medium can change. And my direction can change too. I don't know if I have a certain style. I don't know if I do. I'm not necessarily into the style or signature or anything like that. I'm just searching and continue searching for something. Hopefully this form, wherever it is, but it's not like I have to put a certain color or a certain. But even with my drawings or my paintings, I'm always experimenting. So pretty much,
I see. Where so where can we find you? What is your website? Do you have any social media accounts?
Yeah. On Instagram, my full name, Autin Wright. On Facebook, same, Autin Wright. And those are the two main social media platforms that I'm using right now. Once in a while, I'm so lucky. I'll be honest with you guys, this is a great institution right here. This is. See, this is a wonderful institution. A great director. And I couldn't ask for a better platform than this. I mean, it's amazing. So this is another amazing platform right here, and just having my work here on the ground with the exposure and all that stuff. As I said, art is to be looked at, and you can pretty much whatever you think it is, that's what it is. And it's good to have diverse, anything diverse. And you can't, it's easy. What you need to do is just let down your guard, and just kind of let the work kind of speak to you. This, whatever your situation is, whatever your situation is outside, I'm going to be like a prophet or messiah. I don't know. But I'm serious. Whatever you're going through, man, because I'm telling you, art will do amazing thing and make you, because art is the basic for humanity. It's a basic thing, and if you can reconnect with art, it can bring you back up or lift you up or whatever, or it could take you even higher. And so this is, I'm glad you guys, I know maybe this is not me for saying this, but I'm here on the grounds, but I'm so glad that you guys are here and help to support us as artists.
Let me see, can you guys just raise your hands if you have a question, and we'll tally you all up from there. Okay, all right. Let's start with this gentleman in the blue shirt. Go right on ahead.
Autin, you said you started with wood back in Jamaica.
Yeah.
When you started at the atelier, you dabbled in bronze, you didn't like it, and then you went off into stone and even concrete and cement.
Yeah.
And somewhere along in that continuum, Carmelita happened.
Yes.
Was that an experiment, something you were thinking about going off in a different direction? Was that just done on a whim? That's very different from your work.
Yeah, actually, that was site specific, and of course, I give credit to Stuart Johnson. He worked directly with him, and he had a vision for the park, and he wanted to have something where you could experience art at night. And so he was looking for something where sculpture was lit at night, so people can walk through. And he mentioned that to me and asked me if I was interested in designing a piece for that area. And of course, I'm not going to say no to Stuart. Who said no to Stuart? But anyway. But the material of choice was fiberglass, because we could put a light on the inside. And I'm always into, so it's something that's right up my alley as far as experimenting, trying different things, knowing that it's water, trying to utilize the fact that it can't see below, but give the illusion that things are happening below and emerging back up. And then the reflectiveness as far as the light and the piece itself. So I was all these elements, and then the vegetation around it. And actually, the vegetation, that's what kind of I use as a basic idea it was a blade of grass, and because it was during the fall when the grass start to wither, and then it start to curl, and then the original piece was very simple. It was just like it was just almost like a line that goes in and out and swirl and comes back out and of course, as you said, talking to Seward, you think that there's something more that should be added to it, but and that's where working with someone else, things like that can also affect your work and influence your work, but it was a commission, a site specific, and for me, the person I am, I'm always like, it's an opportunity to try something different, to try something new, and I just jump at it, never say no. That was a great opportunity.
Let me see. Right, what's your question?
Okay, it's not really a question, it's just kind of a comment. First time I met you was a couple of years ago, and I joked with you where your suit was. And then you took time to explain to me all the steps, all the processes that you took to make the one sculpture that you have in the water garden. Yeah. And I have to appreciate being here tonight to hear your whole life story, where you started, and all the steps that got you where you are. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay, let me just repeat the question before we start answering. Can you say it one more time? Yeah. Could you say the question one more time?
Yes. How did you get inspired to do sleep in the water garden?
Okay, so for our friends who will be viewing us at home, how did you get inspired to do sleep in the water garden?
Wow, that's okay, so the same thing, the same basic principle as far as how I, I try to I'm still minimalist in my approach. So I try to make a statement, all right? My statement is emotional, very, so I'm trying to be emotional about a piece and at the same time figurative. And it was, my original thought was, my original idea was from sleep to, it was awakening. But at the same, so you ask these questions, what do I need? Do I need to model an entire human figure to show that the person is smiling or that the person is sad? Or what elements in the human body that can speak to us more than anything else and show that person emotion? And I thought about the lips, and then I said, okay, I can use the lips. That, just looking at someone's lips, you can tell what that person is going through. You can know if that person is genuinely smiling or genuinely laughing, or and then I said, what about the eyes? And I said, yeah, sometimes the eyes will speak to you, and you can tell, what emotion that person is going through, or that person can convey some kind of emotional feeling through their eyes, and so that's what I decided to do. I said, okay, you're going to use the eyes and the lips, but at the same time, I have to make it so that it works. It has to have balance. It has to there got to be a line going through as far as movement and these certain basic stuff that put it together. It has to work, and actually that idea developed when I was in art school, and actually it was in the ceramics department, and it was a ceramics clay piece that I did. It was a relief, and it was just one segment that I did, and then I in my final year, I decided to expand on it. So I expanded on it even more on my final year, but that was originated in art school, and it was just trying to break down the human body and as far as how what part of the human body shows the expression that I need and that to convey my message. Yeah.
Okay. All the way back there. Yep. Yeah.
The first piece that was mentioned, I'm not sure what piece it was referring to. You were talking about the one in made a piece for the site.
Oh, was that Carmelita?
Oh, Carmelita?
Yeah.
Yes. What was the question? I'm sorry.
Well, I just didn't know what piece it referred to.
Oh, yeah. Could you expand on where we can find that in the park?
Oh, Carmelita. We're in the park. It's over by the Stuart Johnson Center for the Arts. If we were looking in this direction, it's to your right, by the inside the at the lake, or in the lake, or if you're it's very close to the Vanguard Cafe, or outside the Vanguard Cafe.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, our friend, well, we have two friends in yellow who have questions, but our first friend in yellow right here.
Thank you so much. I'm a longtime admirer of your work. I have many curiosities, but one has to do with your relationship with title. When the title reveals itself for a piece, and especially since several of your pieces are titled, like have kind of proper names, like people's names. That's one curiosity. And then I also have a curiosity around, I mean, of course, you have such a long relationship with paint and patina, but really more if you could speak to your relationship with texture in your piece. So like the way that Carmelita is so, like that really unique texture of Carmelita with its bumpy roughness, organic, like feels very kind of almost like fleshy in some ways, and then the real smoothness and freeform, and just speaking. And then this piece here, the last piece, the one to your, like to my left, but here, the closest to you, and that texture there. So just really, that's another curiosity. I also have curiosity about your relationship to music and musicality in your pieces. Like those are three.
Oh wow, man! You sum up my life, kind of, right? You sum up my life with those questions. Oh my God! It's kind of interesting because when I first started, everything was real smooth, and when I'm working, it's like you pretty much I visually see with my hands, like I see with my hands because I'm constantly touching and feeling, and the form pretty much it's there have to be a smooth transition, and you can easily see if there. It's very hard to see a bump, but if you rub your hand over it, you can feel it right away. So I'm always touching and feeling, and then you even although it's from you sometimes you said you still don't want to put you don't want to keep yourself in that box, so sometimes you want to kind of break out, and that's me breaking out right there with that piece, creating texture, because and then to create the contrast with what's happening with the and it's the human, because there's something, it's kind of weird. I know, because music was always part of, like inspire me too in my forms, and it's and it's because it's always there, and it becomes it's in my subconsciousness, like, so now I don't even have to say it's music anymore, but whenever I work, I know I'm thinking of some kind of music, and if it's almost round, I'm always thinking like that's the bass. And if there's a line, depending on the line, it could be a violin, or It could be a trombone, depending on how, open, So yeah, it's kind of, and that was ingrained. And that started in art school because, we had to do a project where, we have to interpret music with lines, with lines and forms and colors. But it's not, it's there, but it's not there. So it's like it's in my subconscious, and it comes up sometimes, and then it goes back down, and it goes back down, and then you tend to focus on different things at different times. But yeah, but it's there. It's it's part of the process. Texture, texture is just another part of my experiment, and especially with the concrete. What you're doing, you know what concrete is, so you're kind of playing around with the fact that you're doing something industrial, and so you trying to create an illusion of what it can be. So now, now it can be looking like a fabric, or so or it could be anything else apart from just a concrete. But at the same time, just keep it as simple as possible. And so it's like, so I'm always like, these things are always in my mind. So I'm always like playing around with ideas, and why not, okay, put it this way, I'm in my studio, who's going to stop me from doing it? It's like, I mean, I can do it. I mean, I can experiment, it's like that kind of thing, I mean, it might not pay the bills, but, but, it's so yeah, I have the freedom to try and experiment and do different things, yeah. So I'm willing to do, I'm always trying different things, always experimenting, always. But at the same time, always have these in the back of my mind. As far as title, I was, as I said, I wanted the viewer. I have this idealistic kind of, artist kind of way of thinking at first. I change after a while, it's like everything has to be pure, like pure form, or, it's that, and even with the viewers, I wanted the viewers to interpret the piece based on how they see it. And I didn't want to put a title on it because I thought title would limit the way that the person would see my work, so I said, okay, no titles, and I was calling it Freeform 1, Freeform 2, Freeform 3, and then after a while I got confused. I was like, okay, which one was Freeform 1? Could Freeform 1 put their hand up, please? But anyway, I was confused, and so so I had friends and family that Carmelita was my mom, and godson Cordell, and so people that I know, people who I come in touch with. And you never know, maybe one day one of you guys' name might be on one of my pieces. You never know. But yeah, that's, did I answer all your questions?
Thank you so much.
Okay, good.
I want to make a note. While we were sitting here waiting for everybody to fill in, me and Autin were just considering the rough idea of just singing the whole time. So when it comes to like the conversation about music, it is something that we're both, yeah. It is very important to the process. You're welcome that we did not do that, by the way. We had one more question over here.
Autin, I was wondering, the still lifes that you did in Jamaica, did you ever bridge them into sculpture? Were there any that influenced you in the three-dimensional?
Yeah, not really. But I'm glad he mentioned that, because I'm thinking of actually, doing it again, like doing still life. It's kind of weird. This is my thought. I can share it. It's okay if I share my thoughts with you guys. I'm from Jamaica. I'm from the Caribbean, and one of the things that we have is tropical. Not like if I'm doing a still life, you normally do the regular thing like flowers and vase and but I want to do something more related to Jamaica. So we do have like a ground provision yam, like yam, or we call it yam. It's a root that you can eat, or banana or breadfruit. Some of those things. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but something that you actually and then make it actually into my still life. Like that's what it is, and some of those things are actually very organic, and even like the yam, because of the roots, it's a root plant, so it relates to what even the way my sculpture is shaped. So so that's where I'm leaning towards, and actually I start to do sketches of something like that either. So yeah, so actually that's what I'm thinking of right now. That's one of my thought process. Doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but there's so many things I haven't, that I thought about, but I start sketching. I'm sketching, and I'm doing a lot of sketching. So yeah.
Do we have any other questions? All right, the woman in the white or cream. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Do you find yourself more inspired by your roots in Jamaica or by your present and future here?
Oh, good question. Man, you guys are amazing. Man. I think what happened, it's hard to get away from your roots. Even though I don't know if I should say I was uprooted, but maybe my roots are still there in Jamaica. But I'm sure there's a much stronger influence. Jamaica has a much stronger influence in my thought process, as far as where the organic shape is where we do a lot of organic shape. When I first came here, that's another thing that as far as I was more into organic shape, and then when I came here and I see most art in America was more geometrical and very like flat, which at the time I thought was boring. But then I think that influence, I can see where that's slowly influencing my work. So I think I'm doing more flat surface now and more geometrical shape on a combination of both. I think, yes, I think it's still rooted in Jamaica with maybe influence what's happening here as far as in America. But so yeah. But yeah, it's I think your environment does have a huge impact, conscious or unconsciously, I think.
I think we had one.
A little comment on that. Every one of your sculptures up there could remind me of the mountains in Jamaica.
Yes.
The beautiful mountains in Jamaica. So even, that's what I could find out there.
Yes.
In addition to what you were just saying, and I think that question was addressed a few times by you. And as a person that's fond of you, but I don't do sculpture, it didn't bring out any around, but every one of them, the waves, and then the beautiful foliage, the mountains,
I'm glad you said that, because my paintings now, I'm doing an abstract expressionist painting, and that's my kind of, after I sculpt, I paint, and I very loose in my approach. And when I paint, that's what, even though if I don't explain it to you, you're not going to see it, but that's what it is. It's mountain, it's vegetation, and then trees, and then moon. There's couple of moons in the background. But that's pretty much, yeah, and that's I do a lot of that in my abstract expressionist painting, yeah. Hopefully you get the chance to see them eventually.
I think we had one more question. Did we? All the way back there.
So when you go to make something, does the material that you're making dictate what you're going to create, or do you go to it with a blank slate and say, all right, it's a stone slab, I'm gonna chop this up and make something, or do you go into it with a vision already?
I know, right? Yeah. So unfortunately, the one that I'm working on now, it's a sledgehammer that dictates. But I you know, like with it's a struggle for me because it is, because what happened, I work in wood, and there's you can get a certain feel from wood, and the wood already have a shape, and it's a cylinder. It's like a cylinder, and that gives you a start, and I can work with that. When I'm modeling in clay, now it's just a blob of clay, and now I have to, you know, I don't have a boundary anymore. Now I can pretty much have no excuse. I can just do anything move anywhere I want, and that can be challenging, you know. And then with stone, you know, stone, I can interpret some of my wood pieces in stone, but I still try to keep, you know, I try to keep that. In the last piece I did, I was thinking stone, like construction, the way they, you know, that piece is not here, that's by the, in New Jersey City. And I was conscious of the fact, so I did it in blocks, because I wanted to have the feeling that something is laying on top of the other and on top of the other. So there's a few times when I you know, try to work with the material, and then there's other times where I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. But yeah, that's, not all the time it cooperate though. You know, so you see, you're always going back and forth as far as things like that. And as I said, you never, as an artist, you try to break boundary. That's what you do. You do stuff that you just try to break boundaries. So you do stuff that's might never been done before. Yeah.
Like that form of all forms.
What was that?
Like the form of all forms.
The form itself?
The form of all forms.
Oh, the forms of, the forms of all forms. And it doesn't matter, this is the thing, even although it doesn't, you find, you have an idea, and then the medium is what, you don't have, it's like you whatever medium you have, that's what you work with. So even although, if I was still in Jamaica, maybe I would be working mostly in wood, and I was still working in wood. I'm here, got the opportunity to work in bronze, but it doesn't mean that I'm not like, it doesn't matter what medium, whatever I have around me, that's what I'm going to use. That's pretty much, that's what I'm going to use. Yep.
All right, one more question. Go ahead.
Yeah, just, I'm curious about how you know when a work is done.
Wow.
Right? And also, when you're talking about texture, you're talking about touch and knowing through the hand and smoothness and transition. So I'm also curious about how you transition yourself from one piece to another, when there is a sense of completion, and how you move to the next, or if you're working on multiple pieces at the same time. Like, what is that like for you?
Oh yeah, I know, man. Sometimes, I tell you the truth though, sometimes you say to the piece, you say, man, are you done yet? No, okay. So what happened? You work, right? You work, you think that, you say, wow, this is all good. And you say, man, I'm done. You think that you're done. And then the next time you come back and you view your work and you see something. And you see something and it just bugs you, You just say, oh man, I got to cut that off, or I got to grind that down. And then it's a struggle, because in your mind you already think that you're done, but then the piece calls you back. It says, no, you have to, but you can't. It's hard to let it go. It's hard to say, yes, that's it. I'm not doing anything else. That's it. You're done. And so that's what happened. And sometimes I work. I remember doing this one piece, and I came to a standstill, and it just wasn't working. I just put it aside for a while. I walked back and forth, just walked back and forth. It was always there. I look at it, nothing. It was all. And after 3 weeks, one day I was like, bam, whoa, that's it. And that's it. That's what I need to do. And I did it, and that was it. That was it. That was done. So sometimes it might just tell you that you have to keep working, and sometimes it just came to a stop, and then you just have to just let it go and then revisit it whenever it tells you need to come back. And then there's there's a piece I did where I was carving and just laying these pieces on a table, and then after I laid several of them on a table, I looked at it and I said, wow, that's amazing. I said, wow, that's so amazing. That arrangement of the way they're sitting on the table, and I said to myself, that's it. That's the artwork right there. And that's also in my studio, and that's it. Nothing more, just raw, unfinished. As far as I'm concerned, it was it was speaking. It was saying something, and that's it. It was finished. Yep. Saying this, but I'm here on the grounds, but I'm so glad that you guys are here and help to support us as artists. And I really want to say thanks. Yep.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Autin, for sitting here in this, very cool day for you. Everyone, thank you guys so much for coming as well. Feel free to walk up and please inspect some of these sculptures for those of us who are joining us here. And thank you so much, as Autin said, to Grounds for Sculpture, to the Story Johnson Atelier. I really want to thank Bill Nobes as well. This gentleman over here, he has been our production wizard and is helping us share these programs with many more people to come. And also to Julio Bedell, who introduced this program. He is doing all of the heavy lifting for making this what it is, and we really appreciate you for that. So thank you guys so much for coming.
Yep. And of course, a wonderful host.
Well, I'll be here every week. All right, guys, thanks so much.